Okay, hello, my name is Frankie and I am CEO of Foodsquared. By 2050, the global population is estimated to grow by 2 billion people, and protein demand will rise by an estimated 70%. We have a problem. Where's this protein going to come from? Our food system is already broken, and animal-based protein requires 20 times more land and resources than plant protein, and is responsible for 16% of the world's global greenhouse gases. That's more than the entire transport sector globally. But it's also a huge opportunity if met sustainably. And by 2030, the total protein market is set to be worth $2.1 trillion, and the plant-based market is set to rise by 458%. And food brands are in a race to win market share. So, how can we help these food brands meet this demand sustainably? Foodsquared is a B2B ingredients company, and we upcycle food and drink manufacturing byproducts into next generation plant proteins. So who are we? Abby, our CTO, is a chemical engineer by trade and the first funded UK cellular agriculture bioengineer. Wes, our COO, has a background in operations and logistics at Waste Management, a US Fortune 200 company. And I built, scaled, and exited my previous food brand, which is stocked in supermarkets across the UK and North America. And with our combined expertise in food, operations, and biotech, we're perfectly placed to help food brands meet this growing opportunity. So what problem are we solving? Well, currently, manufacturers waste the potential of up to 40% of their input crops in byproducts. And with rising commodity costs and energy prices, this is not sustainable. And alternative protein companies rely mainly on wheat, pea, and soy. Imagine a world where they had an abundant source of hyperlocal plant-based proteins. So what's our solution? Well, Foodsquared takes these byproducts, makes them into ingredients, and sells them to alternative food brands. We're looking at a range of byproducts and a range of applications in the food industry. Protein concentrates for plant-based meat and dairy, isolates for sports nutrition, and functional flours for baking, pasta, and healthy snacking. So I'm going to take an example from our recent pilot in the brewing industry. The brewer takes the barley, uses only the starch he needs for making beer, leaving a protein-rich byproduct, which is currently sold as low-value animal feed or biofuel. Foodsquared diverts this protein-rich byproduct away from feed and fuel. And as we scale, we're using novel processing techniques and biotechnology to extract the protein and other valuable nutrients to sell for human consumption. So who else is in our space? Well, there are companies that are focused on upcycled ingredients and other companies that are focused on plant proteins. But Foodsquared is the only company that's focused on making a range of upcycled ingredients for the plant-based food industry. So who are we working with? Well, we're leveraging our strong relationships in the food industry and already working with innovative food brands on developing healthy, low-carbon products. And we're working with major brewers, plant milk makers, and food manufacturers on finding a better solution for their byproducts. We have research projects in place with alternative protein innovation hubs ready to go. So what do we need? Well, we've already completed our first pilot with the byproduct of hemp oil, making a high protein flour. We have more pilots underway to improve, scale, and commercialize our products. We need £300,000 investment to take our product development to the next level with our key research partners and make our vision into a reality. So whether you're a buyer, a supplier, or an investor, please join our solution for a better future of food. Thank you for listening, and I'll take any questions. Thank you.
With 11 seconds to go. Perfect shot clock there. Congratulations. That was phenomenal. I'm going to throw highlights on all the investors. You guys will have a chance to ask questions in a sec. The first question that I have, I think the most obvious one is around intellectual property. So the process that you guys have actually developed, is that patented? How does it work? And are other people able to do this?
Okay, very good question. We actually have an IP roadmap in place. We're actually hoping to accrue this IP with our research partners at Wageningen University. So that is our next steps, is our proof of concept. But we can accrue IP all the way along from the processing all the way through the value chain.
And you're the only one that's currently doing this in this way through all three aspects of the model you discussed?
Yes, so there are people focused in areas, but we're the only people who are linking all the way through. Okay. Do you have questions, Sven, Richard, Madeline? I want to open it up as well. I've got the timer going for questions for Frankie, and we can just throw them out there. I'll let you go first, Sven. Sound good?
Cool. Sounds good. Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Frankie, for presenting. You already mentioned sort of biofuels and animal feed as current off-takers for these products. And correct me if I'm wrong, but my feeling is that those are huge markets. So you're in a bit of a price competition with biofuels and animal feed. Is that correct? So yes, I think the impact, I think that if the food can go for human consumption, you're going to command a better price. And I think as you go up the value chain, so at the moment, if you extract the proteins, they're worth a lot more than the entire byproduct. And I think that's where we'll find the value. I think so for number one, I think food should remain in human consumption it's rather inefficient to go via animals back into the food chain. Or I don't think it's a good way of using food to burn it for biofuel. There are better applications on purely impact, but also financially. We're aimed at extracting the valuable nutrients and getting better value for it.
May I ask, do you have any follow-on for that, Sven, or was that clear?
No, I think it was clear, and I like that you put impact into the mix there. So yeah, thanks.
Frankie, I was drawn with the fact that you said you've already exited your first, was it food tech company as well?
So no, it's actually an all-natural condiments company. So when I was raising my two young children, it was a kitchen table startup that started out with just selling a few here and there, but then we grew and we took on investment, and actually I decided to step back because I wanted to do something with more impact. So yeah, this I feel would be a better legacy than great condiments, although I do love condiments.
Gotta love a condiment, yeah. Okay, cool. Because from what I understand, I know that the food industry can be very particular. So I was curious, but now I understand your sort of previous experience was kind of a different angle in the food industry. If you reflect on yourself and the team that you have around you, where do you feel that your competitive advantage or your sort of, what do you know about the market that other people don't?
Okay, so I'm going to start with my perspective. As a food brand, I knew that the carbon impact of my products were not in the logistics, it's not in the packaging, it's actually in the ingredients of the food. That's where the carbon lies. So I know from talking to brands what's important for them. It's got to be functional, it's got to work. It's got to be cheaper nowadays, and it's got to be more sustainable. So these are the non-negotiables. So from that perspective, I feel rather than coming from a byproduct perspective, I'm coming from the buyer perspective. And Wes, with his operations and logistics background, is brilliant at being able to connect all the way from the manufacture all the way through to the bioengineering, which is where Abby's background is. So Abby looks at the byproducts as not as a single byproduct, but actually the component parts, which she can see the value in. And she knows how the functions and the applications in the food industry, because that's her background, is the bioengineering for the alternative protein market. So I think between the three of us, we've kind of got this 360 perspective on what food brands want, how to get it there in the most efficient manner, and what are the best applications.
And where do you feel your blind spot might be, or where do we need a new key hire?
Oh, do you know what? We've actually taken on an intern this summer, which has been great. Who's actually a food science intern. So they're looking at the regulatory side and the process, the actual sort of the food health and safety and the process and the regulatory side. And I think that is going to be really, really key. So he's excellent. And if we probably look to fill that space in time.
Cool. Just want to quickly say I love your voice, and I feel as though it, no matter what happens, you could always be a fantastic podcast radio host.
That means a lot. I've practiced so much today. I feel like I've barely got a voice left. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
congrats on the pitch. Any question from you, Ricardo, before we move on?
Yes, I do. So could you, just a very quick one, your IP is 100% yours, because you mentioned university. Is it 100% yours?
Yes, it is.
Cool.
And that's why we worked with a patent company, with IP, Kilburn Strode, with the IP roadmap. And so we've got that in place with our collaboration with Varnigan. And yes, it is all ours.
And just one last one. So about your business model. So you do buy waste from companies producing waste, and then you would transform it, and then you sell it. You transform it into final products, or you sell it to somebody else who then transforms it into final product?
That's a really good question. I think at first we'll be contract manufacturing, especially the mechanical, probably the lower value mechanical processes. But the IP will be able to accrue. We'll have moats around it on working with people in partnership. But I think the higher value is going to be beyond the functional flour stage, and when you're using the bioengineering to take the proteins out. So that is probably where we would be more focused on getting the high value nutrients and the proteins, rather than just the functional flour stage.
But you do get the proteins, and then what do you do with them? The business model, what is it?
Right, yes. So
producing food, right?
Yes. So sorry. Yeah, so we'll be looking, as I was saying, that there's different levels and different applications. So the plant-based, the protein concentrates would be used for the milk. The question I'm answering is the plant-based meat and dairy industry, because there'll be sort of that there'll be a certain level, they have to be extrudable, and there'll be a certain level of protein that will be applied to them. And then the isolates, which will be a higher level of protein, would be sports nutrition, but they'd have to be soluble. So we're looking at a number of different byproducts and a number of different applications. But we're more focused, we're looking for what the alternative protein industry needs, and then finding the right byproduct rather than just upcycling byproducts, because we realize that the alternative protein industry needs to be more compelling. It needs to be cost parity. It needs to make better products, and you can make better products with more and better ingredients.